Okay, the hour is 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
It is Tuesday, April 20th, 2021. This is the King County Transportation Committee meeting. We do have a full agenda today. I think we have 13 resolutions, so I'd appreciate motions and seconds fairly quick. So we'll call the meeting to order, and I need a motion and a second to approve our minutes from March 16th.
Point of order.
2021.
Roll call, please.
Oh, I'm sorry, roll call.
Berman,
Berman here.
Igbo,
Iqbal present.
Kenyon.
Caius,
Yes. Yes, here.
Caius,
roll.
yes.
Kopi, Oniki,
Winnicki present.
Martin,
Present.
Shepro, Rise.
Here. Okay, so let's roll call, and I will ask for a motion and a second to approve
Caius
our
move.
minutes for March 16th, 2021, moved by Caius, second by
Wonicky, second.
Wonicky. Any questions, comments, or corrections? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Igbo,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius.
Caius, yes.
Mr. Kopi, did you join us? Oniki,
Winnicki, yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, minutes are approved. Is there any public comment? We have nobody in the chamber here. Is there anybody online that would like to comment to the committee? Seeing none, we'll move on to finance report. We have nobody from finance here, so Tom, if you could do the KDOT finance report.
Yeah, I'll just mention real quick that there is a graph within your packet that shows the various trends in MFT and sales tax at this point in time. So it's just some information so you can see kind of how COVID has affected some of the funds coming in. And that's all I have for finance.
Any questions on finance? Seeing none, we'll move on to maintenance report from Tom.
You have the maintenance report, pretty much standard activities that are occurring at this point in time. We're also working with the purchasing department on our salt acquisition at this point in time. That's all I have to report.
Any questions for Tom on maintenance report? Seeing none, we're going to turn it over to Jennifer Becker for a discussion and presentation on National Work Zone Awareness Week. Jennifer?
Good morning. National Work Zone Awareness Week is an annual national event that tries to raise awareness for work zone safety. So this year's Work Zone Awareness Week is April 26th through 30th, and the theme is Drive Safe, Work Safe, Save Lives. And there's a poster online that shows the national awareness poster. Statistics about the fatal crashes are included in the packet. I'm not going to go over those, but I would like to say that KDOT participates in Work Zone Awareness every year. And this year we're going to participate on Go Orange Day, which is Wednesday, April 28th. We are going to encourage all of our employees to wear orange. We do that every year. We try and get photos when we're in the office. This year we'll try and do it virtually. And it's just a good way to try and raise awareness. And at your places, I've placed wristbands and pins, which are commemorative for the week. And we just encourage you to wear them. If you have any questions, you can get in contact with me. I have extra wristbands also if you'd like some. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Questions or comments? Of course, we all remember losing one of our own, Mr. Chittister, a few years ago, and that was not a good week at all. So this is a very real danger. Okay, we will move on to planning and programming report with Tom.
The primary thing I'm going to mention is the comprehensive road improvement plan update. We do have the June 9th public hearing date scheduled per the direction of the county board. We will be talking in a little bit about some of the long-range transportation planning efforts and the 5-year TIP update and seeking adoption today for those. So that's all I have to report for the planning and programming.
Any questions for Tom? If not, we'll move on to our first resolution approving the King County 2050 Long-Range Transportation Plan. Could I have a motion and a second?
Caius move.
Moved by Mr. Caius, second by Ms. Wonicky. Tom?
Yeah, under the Illinois compiled statutes, we're required to produce a long-range transportation plan, and this effort's been underway for the last 2.5 to 3 years. Initially, we started out the effort looking at updating the 2040 plan, but while we were updating the 2040 plan, the 2050 numbers became available, and so we moved forward with the modeling. This is the cover of the plan that you see here, and just some of the information that's in there. You'll see the household growth projections, and this is within the 2050 numbers that you see here. You can see where a lot of growth in the Northwest is occurring, and some growth in the Southwest area west of Randall Road. In regards to population growth, you can see the population growth trends in those same areas that where the households projections are. And then employment projections. A lot of the employment follows the I-90 and I-88 corridors. We do significant modeling. There's a big effort that takes place with what we call our transportation analysis zones, and take the data, the employment, the population and household data, and each of those purple boxes that you see on the screen, each one of those has the population projections in it, and it translates to the traffic growth, and that's how we do our projections for traffic growth. Is those areas that growth occurs are then we call them nodes. They're connected to various roadways. That growth, and that's how we do our modeling efforts in general. You'll see here that there's average daily traffic that we anticipate on numerous roads, and you can see that a lot of the north-south county routes and a few of the east-west routes, as well as the tollway system and arterial system, is where majority of the traffic occurs. This shows the delta, the change in the average daily traffic. So there's significant growth that will be occurring on the Randall Road corridor, Illinois 47 corridor, and some of the east-west corridors. This kind of shows your pattern of movement. A lot of the trips are either occurring north-south or they're heading eastbound. There is a significant amount of employment east of Kane County where they're heading to Cook and DuPage for employment. And then this is a map that shows congestion. All of this is within the long-range transportation plan that staff is recommending for approval. Ultimately, all this information then feeds into what we anticipate as improvements, major improvements that need to occur. These are the capacity improvements that generally are needed based upon the modeling. A lot of improvements along Randall Road and some of the east-west corridors like Big Timber and Plank Road and the Bliss corridor. So these are where we anticipate capacity improvements. It also shows some of the intersections that might need to occur. This again is a objective analysis. There might be, we are required to update this on an annual basis with a significant update about every 7 or 8 years. And so we will continue to look at what's needed along the county highway system, but this is our recommended 2050 projections and improvements. Again, you'll see this on a yearly basis. So if there is something that you think is missing from this plan, let us know, and then next year we might take a look at it and see if it's appropriate to add it. There's a lot of costs associated. I think if you looked at our 5-year TIP, we have close to $190 million worth of projects that are currently unfunded. So there's a lot of costs, and so we do have to talk about those types of costs. So again, we're recommending approval for the 2050 Transportation Long Range Plan.
Okay, so a lot of work behind the scenes. Any questions or comments for Tom? Mr. Martin?
One quick one. The effect of possible different work patterns and commuter patterns. I assume that when you redo this next year, or when you look at it again, that might impact some of the traffic patterns or not?
I think there's always slight changes that occur. This is the 2050 projection based upon the adopted CMAP numbers. And so these are the projections currently that right now, any changes might be more like about 6 to 8 years from now.
Okay.
So it's not a perfect science, but it gives us a good vision for what might occur in the future.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Caius?
Yeah, this is an incredible document. It's really a lot of information in there. I had a question about page 5, section 2. There's 2 tools were primarily used to seek input. Members of Kane County community were asked to provide feedback via an online survey hosted by MetroQuest and Poll Everywhere. And those are 2 different surveys, right?
There are 2 different surveys. The MetroQuest was done countywide with the public getting involved. I forget, I think there was like 1,400 responses.
Oh, no, almost 3,500.
3,500 responses
Lot,
from the
yeah.
public. This occurred, I believe, in the 2017, 2018 timeframe. The way that it was done actually was award-winning. We were recognized for the way that we reached out to the public. The other one was a poll that was done primarily with the council of mayors and elected officials at I think a couple meetings.
It was input from the mayors and stuff. I guess as far as verbiage is concerned, if you check that second paragraph on page 5, it suggests that those maybe there are 2 tools used. It says there was an online survey, so it's 2 online surveys, but so I'm just a little confused by that. Also on page on page 6, it says that the languages, Spanish, English, and other, it is a lot of English, very little Spanish, as far as the stakeholder engagement and outreach.
We hired Spanish speaking and our public meetings that occurred. We had individuals available to talk to those that came to the public hearings. And then also back to the other question about online, the MetroQuest was online. The polling was done at meetings, and it was keypad where people, so that wasn't online. So that's the reason for an online.
Oh, I see. But I'm just curious how that reflects, or back to Spanish now, that reflects the population, because it's such a small response in overall response to these surveys, as I interpreted it anyway, survey results, is that we maybe are missing something in the Spanish-speaking community that maybe needs to be addressed in the future is all.
Okay.
I don't, on page 5, that's, it just seems to stand out to me that there's just a little sliver, looks like maybe 5% or 3% were Spanish responses, whereas 97% were English. And I'm guessing we have a little bigger Spanish population than that. Yeah. So I'm really impressed with it. It does a lot for multimodal bicycle paths, I think, which is the way to go, and addresses communities, planned communities, but too many acronyms, MDM or VDM or something with planning communities, so that there's we're taking in consideration cutting down the overall miles traveled to work and to community, which I'm really impressed. Hopefully in the future we can address that, bring those miles traveled down and make more communities. So great document.
Thanks.
Yeah, about the only thing I could suggest would, when we advertise this, is reach out to some of the Spanish-speaking publications in Aurora and Elgin, something along those lines. But the participation rate was phenomenal, and we had a similar type of participation in our impact fee review. So it's always great to see that. You feel like you're not just generating a document that's going to be put on a shelf.
Right.
A lot of people were interested and participated. Other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Woniki,
Yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, item C, another resolution. This is approving the King County 5-year Transportation Improvement Program plan. So I need a motion and a second.
Motion, Berman.
Mr. Kenyon moves, Berman seconds. Tom?
The same thing as the long-range plan. This is also required by state statute that we have a 5-year transportation improvement plan. We refer to this as our 5-year financial plan. It is part of our long-range planning efforts. In fact, when we start adopting all of this on an annual basis, this 5-year financial plan and the long-range plan will be done jointly in future resolutions over the next 5 years or so. This does go into a lot of our expected revenues as well as expected expenditures. Over the last couple months, you looked at the various projects that were to be added to the plan. You gave us last month direction to add a number of projects to the plan. They have been added to the plan. And so this is the final document, and staff is recommending approval of our 5-year transportation improvement plan.
Okay, any questions or comments? We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Monique,
Yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
passes.
Okay, item D, another resolution. This is authorizing the applications for and extensions of a 2020 and 2021 grant agreements. Motion and a second, please.
Martin moves.
Martin moves.
Monique seconds.
Nikki seconds. And Jennifer is going to handle this. Jennifer Becker.
King County participates in the Ride and Cane program as a sponsor. The program's been in place since 2008. Pre-pandemic, the service provided about 90,000 paratransit rides for eligible residents in King County, mainly seniors and persons with disabilities. And those riders are covered by our sponsor group. Currently, the Association for Individual Development, which is a human services agency in King County, is the recipient of the FTA grant money, and they administer the program. During some meetings with the Regional Transportation Authority, the RTA, the larger group with AID in King County encouraged King County to apply for the 5310 grants and become the direct recipient of those federal funds. So the resolution that is in front of you is authorizing King County to submit the application. It's not a contractual obligation or does not require any funding at this time. And staff respectfully requests approval.
Okay. Questions or comments? Mr. Kais?
I guess that answers the question. In your summary, it says, at this time, there is no funding required. So
Correct.
not that there's no local funding, just no funding.
To submit the application, there's no funding. Once the program is turned over to us, there is a local match that's required of all sponsors, 50% local match.
Yeah, this is, every year the county does participate and we do approve funding, appropriate funds. And last month, I actually even discussed the need to increase those funds. I believe we increased it up to 300,000 for the fiscal year and beyond. And that's in order to continue to participate, which we do assist with the Ride and Cane costs, but also recognizing the step forward into managing the system. And we have been managing it. I want to explain that. The Ride and Cane manager actually is on staff for the King County Division of Transportation, but the grant application always went through AID in the past because with a 501c3, we used to receive additional funding. We do not under the newer program. So again, we're making some changes, and the RTA feel, and as well as staff feels, this will be best for the program overall.
Anything else?
Question, Copy.
Mr. Copey?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So if we vote yes on this resolution, are we committing to the 50% in the event that we get the grant, or will the will that be another resolution to expend those 50% funds?
Well, every year there is a sponsor agreement that is executed that requires separate approval, and that comes through this committee. So at the time that the $300,000 would be in the agreement, then that would come back to this committee, and that would be early in 2022, I'd imagine.
Yeah, and the overall funding, it's usually 50% federal and then 50% sponsor. And a majority of the sponsors are all the other agencies that participate in this. So any expenditures on the 50% local side, those expenditures would be met by the various sponsors.
Which would be, various sponsors would be.
Oh, there's a lot. There's like 18.
It's a mixture of municipalities, villages, townships, some human service, social service agencies. So there are 15 or more. It kind of is a fluid thing. Some years we have more, some less.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments? If not, we'll do a roll call.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Kopi,
Opie, yes.
Wonicky,
Yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes.
Passes.
Okay, item E, a resolution approving an agreement for regional planning liaison services with CMAP. Motion and a second. Mr. Caius moves. Mr. Kenyon seconds. Tom?
Yeah, this is an annual occurrence, and it basically funds the Kane-Kendall Council of Mayors and the staff that work for the Council of Mayors, including myself, Jackie Forbes, Troy Simpson, and Noah Jones. What we do is we assist with the federal funding programs, so a lot of the programming and assistance with the municipalities to apply for federal funds, that kind of stuff, is what this does. And so staff is recommending approval.
So then Kendall is essentially reimbursing us for our time spent, a portion of it, correct?
Well, CMAP is,
Or CMAP.
CMAP is paying for us. Our staff does work for both Kane and Kendall County and the municipalities within those areas. So I don't remember, but like a portion of my salary, probably 15, 20% of my salary is paid for by CMAP to assist Kendall and Kane.
Correct. Okay, thank you. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Kopi,
Opie, yes.
Wonicky,
Yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, motion carries. Items F, G, and H are all funding IGA agreements with the state. Do you want to take all three together, or
Yeah.
I guess we can't?
Yeah.
No,
No.
No? Okay, so we'll take it one at a time. Item F, need a motion and a second. This is approving an IGA with the
Berman
state. Mr. Berman moves. Ms.
Wonicky
Wonicky
second.
seconds. Tom?
Yeah, this is, as I had mentioned a year or two ago, we will continue to look at various funding opportunities. This is an additional $1.5 million from the state, and staff is recommending approval.
Okay, questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Caius?
Yeah, shortly. This is for the stretch C2 between 25 and just the outside edge of Sand Bloom Road.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really include the bridge.
No, it includes the Sand Bloom Bridge over
Oh.
Sand Bloom. So
The
it's-
smaller bridge.
Over the
yeah, but it doesn't
Road.
include the
one
river
over the-
bridge.
The river bridge. Does it, yeah, okay.
This is our last stretch.
Oh, I take this time to encourage people, to remind them that we want to remove that toll as soon as we can.
Other questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Amazingly, yes.
Kopi,
Opie, yes.
Wonicky?
Boy pants on.
Yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes.
Passes. Thank you.
Okay, item G and H are related to the new bridge or the bridge replacement on Kirk Road over the Union Pacific. So I need a motion, a second for
Berman moves
item
the
G. Mr. Berman, let's just do G one at a time. Berman moves and
Kaya
Kaya
second.
seconds. Tom?
Yeah, this is federal funding for the Phase 2 engineering, and it funds it at close to 80%. Staff is recommending approval.
Questions or comments? Roll call?
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Igbo,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Kopi,
Opie, yes.
Woniki,
Yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, item H is a resolution on the same project, another IGA with the state. This is for land acquisition. Need a motion and a second.
Caius move.
Moved by Caius,
Berman, second.
second by Berman. Thank you. Questions or comments? Roll call?
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Igbo,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Kopi,
Opie, yes.
Woniki,
Yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes.
Thank you.
Resolution passes. Section 7, item A, traffic operations and permitting report. Tom?
You have the report in front of you. I don't have anything to add to that. It's unless there's any questions.
If there's any questions on that? If not, we'll move on to item B, the Randall Road right-in, right-out concept. Tom?
Yeah, as most of you know, Randall Road is a limited access freeway under the state statute as well as adopted by the county board. As such, anytime we look at additional access points, it has to be approved by the county board, and a lot of time and effort goes into that. So many times we'll bring you conceptual requests so that the developer's not spending $10,000, $20,000 trying to develop an access point only to ultimately be turned down by the county board. So this is one of those situations. There's a request for a right-in, right-out north of Silver Glen Road on Randall Road on the west side, if you know where Caputo's is. This is an area of Randall Road that has about third mile spacing, and so it's really easy to meet the county board requirements in regards to access spacing. The right-in, right-out, you'll see that the right-in, right-out proposed, this is moving a little too fast for me, but it's in green here, and the distance is 750 feet. So it slightly exceeds the minimum requirements that the county board has adopted. And then it also, the throat length, there will be some changes to the parking. So there's some coordination that needs to occur with the village of South Elgin. The village and the county will need to change the current intergovernmental agreement to accommodate this, as well as the developer or the owner, Caputo's, would need to do some design work and put together what's required under our access regulations in order to get the right in, right out. So what I'm looking for today is it does meet all of our minimum requirement standards, and we will be coordinating on an access intergovernmental agreement change. And so I'm looking for consensus from the committee that this is acceptable so that they can have some type of insurance in moving forward. Again, there's quite a bit of investment that has to be done. And then in a couple months or so, whenever everything's ready and gone through the village as well, we'll bring forward a revised intergovernmental agreement.
Okay, so staff is saying that this is doable and within our guidelines. If you recall, we had a discussion not too long ago on Randall and 64, and it was way, way below our minimum standard, and we did deny that. But I think this is an example of something that is definitely workable. We want to maintain our limited access highway status, but this also will help promote commerce and so forth along Randall Road. Ms. Wonicky?
Just a quick question for Tom. It doesn't interfere with the right turn from Randall onto Silver Glen, does it?
No, it will
No,
not.
there's a right
interfere.
turn lane, yeah.
Yeah, that right turn lane, I believe in its entirety is about 300 feet to 350, and this is at the 750 mark, so
Oh, good.
it'll be good spacing.
Berman, comment?
Mr. Berman?
Yes, this barrier and the median, is that a new concept?
No, that is actually required by the standards adopted by the county board. We do put that in most locations. There are, I don't know, maybe 1 out of every 20 locations, it actually causes a potential safety concern. But at this location, it works very well, and it helps to ensure that the motoring public doesn't abuse the right in, right out.
Well, I think it's very good. It should prevent that. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Kenyon?
There will be no light there, will there?
No signal.
No light. Mr. Martin?
Chance.
I'm supportive of this. If you leave that Caputo's and you want to head south, the only way you can get there that makes any sense is to turn on Silver Glen. And that's not a perfect, because of the curve in the road and everything, and you're crossing traffic to get there. So this will channel a lot of that traffic straight out to Randall. And I think it'll be a big improvement, and not only for safety, but just eliminate some congestion.
Yeah, like I said, the one we talked about recently, it was practically right on the corner of 64, so there's plenty of breathing room here. Any other questions or comments? Well, this is just consensus, so is there anybody that would disagree with giving staff consensus to move forward with this? Hearing none, you have consensus.
Thank you.
Okay, then we'll move on to project implementation report. Steve will handle that.
The IMP report shows our ongoing construction and design engineering projects. Construction starting to ramp up a little bit. We've got a lot of lettings, spring lettings coming up. And I'll move on to the photos unless anyone has any questions.
No questions.
First photo is showing some of the work that occurred over the last month at the C2 contract mentioned earlier, Sand Bloom to Illinois 25. The bridge over Sand Bloom Williams work still continues. Along with, we're getting some electrical work associated with the toll collection facility also completed. And on the next photo is our Bliss Road over Lake Run drainage ditch culvert replacement project that involves a one-way local detour, truck detour, so that we can safely and efficiently complete that work. And so that is underway. That's all I have for you with the photos. And I can, yes.
Steve, when is the project on Long Meadow Parkway? Is that the end of August that's going to be?
Repeat that?
Long Meadow Parkway,
Yes.
when will it be open?
Well, we're targeting first quarter, the whole corridor.
Yeah, across the.
We're targeting first quarter of 2022 right now.
Oh, that late. Well, what was going to open was there some part of it was going to open in August, end of August?
Well,
Like 25 to Sand Bloom?
There's various portions open right now. Are you?
Right.
This section has a July 31st completion date right now.
This section?
This section C2. There's also some work that has to occur at Illinois 25. The foundations have been poured. We got to put up the signals that's associated with this project. But in the fall of this year is when we'll be installing and testing the toll collection equipment and working with our roadside vendor and our back office vendor to do our testing of the equipment. And then next year, we would then open the whole corridor, including the bridge over the Fox River.
And toll?
And toll.
Was there a time that you were going to run it without the toll across the bridge?
That's our preferred option. We'll see how this all comes together over the next 6 months or 8 months.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Steve, I guess we'll go back to you for the discussion of pavement management. If the committee recalls, we've passed several resolutions and awarded several contracts for different pavement management practices. And the question came up that we all didn't know exactly what they were and how they differentiated. So staff has worked to put together a presentation. So I'll turn it back to Steve.
Can I interrupt just for 1 second? I apologize. For some reason, it's not showing up on the screen. Does everybody see the pavement management screen? No?
No.
I'm not sure why it's not showing up.
So give us 1 second. We'll try and solve that.
while we're waiting, we're pleased to have online right now, Candy Thomas, our Senior Project Manager, and she oversees our pavement management program. And so she's got a quick presentation here to let you know about that.
Okay, and we have the presentation up, it looks like.
All right, Candy.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
That's good. So I just wanted to say my name's Candy Thomas, and I'm going to talk a little bit about Kane County's pavement management this morning. Feel free to ask any questions that you may have as we go along, or you can wait till the end, whichever you prefer. So next slide, please. Every 3 years, the Division of Transportation selects a consultant to evaluate the county highways. The goals of this task are to evaluate the existing condition of the county highway network through a repeatable, automated process, and also to update the pavement management database with any recent construction activities and the newly collected roadway data. The activities included in this task consist of collecting various data of the roadways, like pavement condition, structure, history, etc. Updating the pavement management database to reflect the results of the data collection, evaluating the performance of maintenance activities in the database to ensure that they accurately reflect the conditions of the field surveys, and to generate a new updated database for future maintenance simulations. Next slide, please. The county has approximately 300 centerline miles under its jurisdiction. Field surveys for the pavement management services are conducted by the use of a vehicle equipped with enhanced technology to collect the current conditions of the roadways. This survey vehicle gathers data at typical traffic speeds, which provides minimal impact to the driving public and doesn't expose surveyors to the traffic, which makes this type of data collection quick, safe, and efficient, and it also eliminates traffic control. The data collected by this vehicle includes pavement distresses and the severity of the distresses, roughness, or the ride quality of the vehicles, in other words, the user satisfaction, rutting of the pavement, and roadway imagery. Our most recent consultant utilizes the vehicle shown on this slide. It's called the EDGE, which stands for Enhanced Data Gathering Equipment. So as you can see, this vehicle detects cracks, rutting, roughness, and longitudinal profile measurements, which are all collected and recorded operating at the posted traffic speeds. Next slide, please. Pavement condition ratings. Our pavement is rated according to the Overall Condition Index, or OCI rating. OCI is a numerical rating of the pavement condition based on the type and severity of distresses observed on the pavement surface. The OCI is represented by a value between 0 and 100, where 0 is the worst possible condition and 100 is the best possible condition. So here you can see that the Kane County's pavement condition ratings, this was as of yesterday. Approximately 80% of our highway system is currently in the excellent and good categories. And these ratings, they deteriorate according to the performance models, which are assigned to each treatment within the database. Therefore, they're always slightly changing. Next slide, please. Our pavement preservation treatments are a work in progress. Some of the things that we've recently done to try and improve our pavement preservation is to bid them separately. Previously, all of the pavement preservation treatments were combined in one construction contract, which included crack sealing, chip seals, cape seals, rejuvenators. This year, by bidding the treatments separately, we saved approximately 50 cents per square yard on the chip seal treatments. CAM-AM meetings. A few of us at KDOT participate in the CAM-AM Pavement Preservation Subcommittee with Collier counties to discuss our overall experience with different pavement preservation treatments. As a result, we have the thin lift overlay. At the CAM-AM meetings, the thin lift overlay was spoke very highly of by a few participants like McHenry County and the village of Schaumburg. Therefore, we decided to implement a test section and see how it performs. So this summer, we'll be implementing a section of the thin left overlay on Coron Road between Silver Glen Road and McDonald Road. It's approximately 1 mile in length. Fog seals. We've added fog seals to our chip seals to try and protect the treatments from raveling and delamination. This was also found to be favorable from other participants of the CAM-AM group. And finally, eliminating cape seals and micro seals. So cape seals and micro seals have been troublesome and problematic over the years. They tend to ravel and don't hold up over the years, making their cost-benefit ratio low, or their benefit-cost ratio. Many times we're having to go back and address problem areas the year after we place them. This not only costs more, but also impacts commuters and local residents on a more frequent basis. Other participants of the CAM-AM group also appear to be having the same issues. Therefore, it appears to be an issue with the local material and or equipment used by the local contractors. And that's pretty much all I had for today. Does anyone have any questions?
I'm just, Candy, I'd ask that either you or Steve maybe tell us, because when we award these contracts, we see the terms like cape seal, micro seal, chip seal. If you could just tell us real briefly, what in each one of those involves.
Sure. So like we have the rejuvenator, which is basically an oil-based product that kind of goes over the HMA, the resurfacing. We tend to do it a year after we resurface. So this helps to put all of help to make the pavement flexible basically, or keep it flexible so that it doesn't get cracks and different types of distresses in it. The chip seals is like an oil and it's also an aggregate layer. So it forms together after it sets to help provide and protect the surface of the hot mix asphalt to help extend the life of it. And cape seals are very similar to chip seals, but we've been having a lot of problems with like delaminating and raveling where the products aren't sticking to the surface. So it's coming off and not protecting and sealing the HMA like it's supposed to.
Okay.
We have the crack sealing, which, we go through, we route out the cracks when they're bigger than, I believe it's 1/4 of an inch. And then we put the fiber modified crack sealing in the cracks. And so that helps, to protect and keep the water from penetrating down into the structure of the roadway. And then the thin lift overlay, that's our new one this year. So we basically, we're taking 3/4 of an inch off of the surface. And so that takes out, a lot of the cracks that can come up to the surface, or, it's giving it a new surface. And we're overlaying, it has smaller aggregates than the normal hot mix asphalt. But it has good reviews. Yeah, we're going to try it out this year.
Okay, well, thanks very much for going through that for us. So all these processes are attempts to extend the life of the pavement so that we don't have to, well, we always will eventually have to, but can prolong the time before we have to do a full overlay or replacement. So Steve, anything to add to that, or?
She showed a pie chart of our annual pavement rating, and that information is available on our website too. So you can look back through the years and see how our ratings have changed since we've initiated pavement management.
Yeah, that was really impressive, the pie graph showing, 80% either excellent or good. I think not too many counties could say that. So very proud and thanks staff for attaining that. Any other questions or comments? Mr. Kayas?
I'm terrible with the acronyms, but the CAM-AM that you participated in is what?
Yeah, I was afraid you were going to ask that. I'm not exactly sure what it stands for. I just actually started attending the groups. I tried to look for it on what it stands for, but I'm not exactly sure. I'm sorry. I'll have to look into that.
So it's a think tank of the collar counties that get together and share information and learn from each other. So I don't know the acronym either.
The first word is
If
county.
Carl was here, he would.
You would know it, yeah.
I believe a part of it is asset management, which is a very important direction that all transportation agencies over the last 5 years has been heading. So,
Okay.
Could be cozy.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry.
I know there's, in the 2050 report there's about 2 pages of abbreviations and acronyms.
Mr. Kayas
Oh,
does
yeah.
that to all of us, so don't feel bad. He came within a second of getting by. So
No worries.
you can
Thank
email
you,
us that.
everyone.
Okay, thanks for your report,
Sounds good.
Candy.
Thanks, Candy.
Sure,
Okay,
thanks.
so Steve, we'll start. We have 10 resolutions, so let's try and move through them. And starting with item 8B, a resolution approving a contract for construction for Fabian Parkway multi-use path. Motion and a
Kayas move.
second. Mr. Kayas moves, Ms.
Wonicky
Wonicky
seconds.
seconds. Steve?
We're going through a process of an annual contract to improve some of our multi-use paths that could use a little more attention. This one received 4 bids that were open on March 30th. It's along Fabian Parkway from 25 to Kingsland Drive, and Geneva Construction was the lowest qualified bidder at $353,000.
Okay. If you recall, we approved a couple of resolutions at Forest Preserve to work together on this project. Questions or comments? If not, roll call.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Kopi,
Kopi, yes.
Wonicky,
Yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes.
Yeah.
Passes.
Item C is a resolution, a contract for construction. This is for the Main Street Road at Nelson Lake traffic signal installation. Need a motion and a second. Moved by Mr.
Caius.
Kayas, second by Ms. Wonicky. Steve?
We received 1 bid to install a traffic signal and some street lights at this location. Thorn Electric was the lowest qualified bidder at $230,000 and change.
Okay. 1 bidder is a little bit unusual, isn't it? For something like that.
Yeah, it happens once in a while. It's a competitive bid process. This estimate came in underneath the engineer's estimate, so
Okay.
we recommend approval.
Sounds good. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Kopi,
Kopi, yes.
Wonicky,
Yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes.
Passes.
Passes. Item D, a contract for construction. This is for Silver Glen Road at Randall Road intersection improvement.
Berman,
Moved by Mr. Berman moves, Mr.
Caius.
Kayas seconds. Steve?
This project will install an eastbound or westbound right turn lane from Silver Glen to Randall Road, similar intersection that we talked about earlier for the near the right in, right out. So 2 bids were received for this one on April 13th, and Geneva Construction was the lowest qualified bidder at $482,000 and change.
Okay.
Staff recommends approval.
Questions or comments?
This one was across the intersection?
Correct,
Opposite
in the
side.
northeast quadrant.
Okay. Roll call.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Kopi,
Kopi, yes.
Wonicky,
Yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes.
Passes.
Item passes. Item E, resolution approving a contract for construction, HMA crack sealing project. Motion second, Mr. Kenyon moves, Ms. Wonicky seconds. Steve?
This is the annual fiber modified crack sealer contract that Candy referred to earlier. We received 2 bids, and SKC Construction was the lowest qualified bidder at $459,000 and change. This will cover 29 centerline miles of county routes.
Wow.
I think it's a King County company, and I think they've done this quite a few times in the past. Questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Igbo,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Kopi,
Kopi, yes.
Wonicky,
Yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes.
Passes.
Item F, a resolution contract for construction. This is for our thin lift overlay projects. Motion and a second, moved by
Caius.
Mr. Martin, second by Mr.
Caius.
Caius. Steve?
And this is our new thin lift overlay that'll occur on Corn Road between Silver Glen and McDonald Roads. We received 5 bids, and the lowest qualified bidder was J.A. Johnson Paving at $281,000 and change. Staff recommends approval.
Okay, questions or comments? Roll call.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Igbo,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Kopi,
Kopi, yes.
Wonicky,
Yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes.
Thank you.
Item G, a contract for construction. This is for the paint striping, King County striping projects. Need a motion and a second. Moved by Mr. Kenyon, second by Mr. Martin. Steve?
This is our annual pavement striping contract that occurs more in the central and western locations of King County. This year, we received 1 bid from Preform Traffic Control Systems at $721,000 and change. Staff recommends approval.
Okay, questions or comments? Roll call.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Igbo,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Kopi,
Kopi, yes.
Wonicky,
Yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes.
Passes.
Okay, item H is amending a Phase 2 engineering services agreement with Baxter and Woodman for the Bliss Fabian Main Street project. Need a motion and a second. Mr.
Caius,
Caius, Mr. Martin, seconds. Steve?
As we move closer to construction on this project, which will realign the 2 offset intersections into a 4-legged oval-shaped roundabout, additional effort is needed by our consultant, Baxter and Woodman, totaling just under $50,000 for various items such as ARC survey, right-of-way certification, revised project specs, adding additional area for truck apron for oversized vehicles, an additional entrance to the church, revised drainage design, and developing a new tree replacement area when coordinating with the Forest Preserve. Staff recommends approval of this supplement.
Any questions or comments? Mr. Caius?
This was not part of the original, so it's an amendment to add on.
Correct.
This was not foreseen at the time, at the original?
No, these, they can absorb some work scope items during the life of a Phase 2 engineering contract, but it's got to be more than acceptable, and staff agrees that additional effort should be compensated. During right-of-way negotiations, those are the drainage improvements and the additional access to the church area. Those things could not have been foreseen. Developing a new tree replacement area could not have been foreseen. So these are elements that were not in the original scope, and staff deems necessary to be compensating the consultant for.
Thank you.
Okay. Roll call.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Igbo,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Kopi,
Kopi, yes.
Wonicky,
Yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes.
Passes.
Okay, item I, a resolution approving the Phase 2 Engineering Services Agreement. This is for Kirk Road over the Union Pacific Railroad Bridge replacement. Motion and a second. Moved by Mr.
Caius,
Caius, second by Ms. Wanicki. Steve?
Staff went through the qualifications-based selection process to select BLA Engineering or Incorporated for Phase 2 engineering services for our proposed bridge replacement at Kirk over the UP. And we negotiated a contract at $1.5 million and change. And this will be funded 80% with the agreement that you just approved 10 minutes ago. Staff recommends approval.
Questions or comments? Roll call.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Igbo,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Kopi,
Opie, yes.
Wanicki,
Yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes.
Passes.
Item J is a resolution approving an agreement with Christopher Burke Engineering. This is for on-call Phase 3 environmental engineering services. Need a motion and a second. Moved by Mr. Martin, second by
Caius?
Mr. Caius. Steve?
In order to keep certain areas more naturally landscaped, staff needs help from a professional Phase 3 on-call environmental engineering firm to do controlled burns, herbicide applications, or supplemental seeding and plantings, help with bike path restoration and such. We went through the QBS process and negotiated selected Chris Burke Engineering. This is for a 3-year contract for $300,000. This is on call. So it's when we need services, we have a task order that gets negotiated and reduces that $300,000 figure. Staff recommends approval.
Okay, so this is on call and not to exceed.
Correct.
Is this a 1 year or
3 years.
3 year? Okay, 3 year. Roll call, please.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Igbo,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Kopi,
Opie, yes.
Wanicki,
Yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so item passes, and Blair wanted to make a quick announcement because we do have some speakers coming online for the meeting that follows this one. So go ahead, Blair.
Sorry to interrupt this Transportation Committee meeting. I wanted to let folks on the line know that are here for the Development Committee. Transportation Committee is extending beyond its normal stop time. So just please be patient, and we will get to that meeting as soon as we can. Thank you, Chairman.
Yep, thank you. And we will have need to go into a quick executive session for transportation also. So item K is another on-call services agreement. This is for land survey services. Could I have a motion and a second? Moved by Wanicki, second by Kenyon. Steve?
We went through QBS to select Hampton, Lenzini, and Renwick for this recurring 3-year on-call contract for the various surveying services listed. If staff recommends approval of this contract.
Any questions or comments? Roll call.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Igbo,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Kopi,
Opie, yes.
Wanicki,
Yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes.
Okay, the resolution passes. Item 9, could I have a motion and a second to
Caius
put our
move.
various reports on file? Mr. Caius moves, Ms.
Berman, second.
Wanicki seconds. Roll call.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Igbo,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Kopi,
Opie, yes.
Wanicki,
Yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes.
Thank you.
Reports are on file. Item 10, we do have need for executive session to discuss personnel. Could I have a motion and a second to go into executive session?
Caius,
Excuse me,
move.
Mr.
Moved by
Chairman.
Caius.
Mr. Chairman, sorry to interrupt. As it relates to the stated reason, personnel approving a resolution to reappoint the county engineer.
Okay, so we're going into executive session to discuss personnel. The reason is to reappoint the county engineer.
Thank you.
And Mr. Caius moved and Mr. Martin second, I believe.
Yep.
Roll call.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
sorry. Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Kopi,
Opie, yes.
Wonicky,
Yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move into executive session. Okay, we are out of executive session, King County Transportation Committee, April 20th, 2021, back in full session. And I would ask for a motion and a second on the resolution to reappoint the county engineer and set his salary. Moved by Mr. Caius, second by Mr. Kenyon. Discussion or comments? Hearing none, roll call. Was there somebody that want to make a comment?
Mr. Chairman, this is Deborah Allen. I'm just sitting in on your meeting and I had a question.
Go ahead.
I'm working off of my memory, but doesn't the state contribute to the engineer's salary, assuming that we reach a certain level of
Yeah.
compensation?
Yes, they reimburse us for 50% of the engineer's annual salary.
Thanks. I just wanted to make sure I remember.
Good point. We should have mentioned that. Any other questions or comments? Okay, we have a motion and a second, so roll call.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Iqbal, Dr. Iqbal, Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Kopi,
Opie, yes.
Wonicky,
Yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, resolution passes. Is there any new business from any of the board members or committee members? If not, is there any public comment? Anybody would like to comment on non-agenda items at today's meeting? Seeing none, I would ask
Motion to
you,
adjourn, sir.
motion to adjourn by Mr. Kenyon, second by Mr. Berman. I'd also remind you before we adjourn to return your numbered packets that we used for the last resolution. Other than that, all in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you very much. Full agenda, hour and 15 minutes.
13.
13 is rounding up. Should have rounded down.
All right, everybody online that is waiting for the development committee meeting, we'll need a few minutes here to reset all the technology and get set up for